So who can tell me what Jesus says the most important thing is? Who can tell me? What does Jesus say the most important thing is? Love. Love, right? You know, Jesus says the most important thing is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. And then equally important is we are to love our neighbors as ourselves. I want to talk today about that idea of loving your neighbor as yourself. You know, people ask Jesus, and it's a legitimate question, who is my neighbor? Who is the one that we're supposed to show love to? And by the way, you'll notice today that whenever I talk about love, I always talk about showing love. See, in the Bible, love's not an emotional, it's not a squishy thing. What love is an action. Love is always associated with an action in the Bible. So if you love somebody, you do something for them or you show them love. So we're going to talk about showing people love. It's a legitimate question. Who is it that we should show love to? Should we show love to the people that live 2 doors down, 4 doors down, 8 doors down? How about the people that live that are in the next cubicle to us at work? Who do we show love to? It's a legitimate question. And Jesus talks about this. In John chapter 13, what does he say? He says, a new commandment I give you. It's a commandment that you love one another. Now, who is Jesus talking to at that time? He's talking to his disciples. He's talking to believers like you and like me. And the command is clear. We are to show love to those other Christians around us. We show love to other Christians. And Linda and I learned about that. This is not only a commandment, it is a great, great gift that Jesus gives us. And here's why I think it's a gift. Back when COVID started, Linda and I got into a prayer group. And this group's this wonderful group of about 9 people. We call into Zoom from all places across the country. And we pray. We originally were praying against COVID and for wisdom for the leaders and all that stuff. But we started praying for each other and each other's needs. And once a week we get together and we catch up and then we pray for each other's needs. And I can tell you, we are tight with those people. And I can tell you that love that those people show me is a great gift from God. It helped us get through this. So not only is this idea of loving your neighbor a great commandment, something that we're required to do, but it is a great gift to the person that receives it, and it is a great gift for us. So one person that we need to show love to is other Christians. When they asked Jesus that question, and I think they were, people put down the people that asked Jesus, well, who is my neighbor? Who do I really have to? But they were asking a legitimate question. And Jesus gave them a parable. He told them the parable of the Samaritan and the Good Samaritan. There was this guy that was beaten up, right? And he was on the road. The robber left him for dead. And 2 people came along, and they were religious people. There was a priest and a Levite. And they didn't want to have anything to do with them. They walked on the other side of the road and they went down and they completely ignored this guy. And I'm sure they had their reasons. If you read the commentaries on this, they give all kinds of excuses for these people. And nevertheless, they walked right by a person who really needed help. And then this Samaritan came along. And the Samaritan was dreaded. And the Samaritan was hated by the Jews. They were unclean. They were not Jewish. And the Samaritan helped this guy, and he used his own money and bandaged him up and so forth. And I think you probably know this story. And I think I can take 2 things out of that parable. One thing I can learn from that parable is that just as the Jews weren't supposed to only show love to their fellow Jews, they were supposed to show love to people who weren't Jews. And for us, we need to show love not only to people that are Christians, but people who are not believers. Furthermore, what I take from that parable is that we are supposed to show love to everybody that God puts into our lives. Whoever God puts into our lives, that's who we're supposed to show love to. Jesus reiterates this kind of idea in Matthew chapter 5 when he talks about loving your enemies. He says you need to love everybody. You even need to love your enemies. You even need to love your enemies. Those people you don't like, you need to show love to. Those people who don't like you, you need to show love to. So we need to show love to Christians. Need to show love to everybody God brings into our lives. We even need to, as Christians, we even need to show love to those who don't like us and those who we don't like. But how do you do that? How do you do that? I mean, I've puzzled over this for years. How do I show love to that person that I don't like? Well, I want to give you 4 ways that you can show love to everybody. 4 ways. And the first way is to be patient with them. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have perfect patience? Never get annoyed? How many of you lose your patience every once in a while? Yeah, a lot of hands go up. It's hard, isn't it? It's very, very, very hard to have patience. You're driving down 61 and somebody cuts you off, or somebody's going slow, or whatever, or you get lousy service at a restaurant, or whatever. Linda and I ran a service business. I still get annoyed with people who don't serve that should be serving, and we lose our patience. But I don't think it's an accident that in 1 Corinthians 13, when Paul is defining love, what does he say is the first thing about love? Love is patient. Love is patient. It's also maybe one of the hardest things, but I think about patience. You lose your patience, you get angry, you start hating someone, you hate's the opposite of love. I don't know whether that's exactly, you can draw that, but I think that's one of the reasons why Paul calls out patience as being of utmost, first importance. And if you think about it, we can have patience with everybody. What's the second thing Paul said? Love is patient, love is kind. We can all be kind to people. Can somebody tell me something, some kindness that somebody did for you? Just any kindness. Or I'm going to tell you my stories, but tell me your story. Tell me one thing about somebody did that when they showed you a kindness. No brave volunteers?
I got one.
Yeah.
This morning, I almost tripped on the leg coming out from the table in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Well, I caught myself, but the maple syrup tipped off the table.
Oh.
And we lost about a half a
Oh.
quart.
Oh.
And he runs from the other end of the kitchen and cleans it all up for me.
Yeah.
That was very kind.
See, sometimes the act of kindness is you go and you do something kind for somebody. Anybody else?
I had a phone call when I was really down one day from a friend.
Yeah.
Out of the blue.
Yeah.
Haven't heard from her for a long time.
Encouragement. Kindness is encouragement, can be a kindness. I also thought that, if you screwed up in some way, maybe at work or something, and your boss brings you into his office, and he probably has every right to rail on you because of what you did, and they just be very gentle with you and said, this is the way we do things around here, and it would be a great kindness to correct you. Now, how did you feel when that? You felt good, right? When that person called, you felt good this morning when he cleaned it up, and kindness makes us feel good. It's something we all can do. We all can do. By the way, this idea of patience and kindness are things that come out of your heart. You see, we act out of what's in our hearts. Our heart is the center of who we are, what our character is, why we do the things that we do. If we have a patient heart, we act out of that, and we're patient. If we have an impatient heart, we are impatient. Third thing you all can do. Love is not jealous. Love is not jealous. But by the way, I want to tell you, you purists, and I'm sure there's some purists out there with language, you're going to see you're not talking about jealousy, you're talking about envy. Well, the people who translated the Bible had the same problems that I did, because if you look in the version that I use, the NASB, the word's translated jealous. If you look in the NIV, I think it's translated envy. So, but this word has to do with, let me get back to that. What do you do? How do you react when somebody has something that you'd like to have? I don't know, maybe they have money. I really wish I had some money. Or maybe they have a lot of friends. Oh, man, I wish I had a lot of friends. Or what do you do when somebody gets something that somebody gets something that you really wanted to have. Maybe a bonus. Somebody gets a bonus and you do not. Or maybe somebody gets to marry that girl you're sweet on and you do not. How do you react to these kinds of things? Well, I think there's three ways that people can react to this kind of situation. One way is to be grateful for them and be happy for them. And thank God that God had been gracious to them. And that's the biblical way. That's the way that's what the Bible wants us to do. You know, the second thing that I think people do, that I think this is okay, they use it as a motivation. They say, well, I'm really pleased that that you've gotten this this gift from God, or that God has been gracious to you, and I'd really like to have that. So I'm going to make a plan in order to get it. Maybe you see somebody has money, and they say, well, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go get an MBA, or I'm going to change jobs, or I don't know. I don't know. But figure out a way that you can, and that's not wrong. You can use jealousy as a motivation, and actually, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But the third thing that people do when they see these kinds of things is they get what you might consider sour grapes. They get jealous or envious. And this is a bad thing. This is a bad thing. The word in the Bible has to do this, the word that they translate jealousy or envy, has to do with hotness, redness of face, burning, that kind of thing. It's almost akin to the emotion of anger. And but you know, we get jealous over something, and then we act out of that jealousy, and that is a bad thing. We do things that we might be ashamed of, or things that we don't want to do. We don't want to act out of our jealousy, because you can hurt somebody's feelings or whatever. So there's three things we can do. We can be patient, we can be kind, we can be not jealous, and the fourth thing that we can do is we can pray. Now, I talked about the great gift that we have of Christians showing their love to us. Another great gift that Jesus gives us, maybe, I don't know, not the greatest gifts, because he died on the cross to pay the penalty for my sins, and we're going to get to go to heaven. But one of the great gifts that Jesus gives us in this life is the ability to pray. We can go right in to the throne room of the Father. And like a good friend of mine that we used to pray with years and years ago, she said, I just go and I in my mind, I walk into the throne room of God, I get up on my daddy's lap, and I say, Daddy, I've had a hard day. Here's the things that God, Daddy, thank you for giving me this, and I praise you for that, and Daddy, here's the things that I'd like to have. This is a phenomenal gift. And there's so many Christians don't pray, or they just pray a rote prayer. You, every one of you have the opportunity to go right into the throne room of God and talk to the Father. I mean, that's a privilege, and it's an incredible gift. The way that I see it, all this stuff, it's about postcards. Say, wait a minute. Postcards? What are you talking about? Postcards. So I understand what you say. We got to show love to other Christians, and we got to show love to other people that God puts in our life. We even need to show love to those who don't like us. And 4 ways we can show love is to be patient and to be kind, and not to be jealous, and to pray for other people. But postcards, what does it have to do with postcards? Well, let me show you. I got some postcards here. I used to. If I don't have them, we're going to be in trouble here. Here. So, and these postcards are of the North Shore. What else would I have postcards of? And here's a beautiful picture of Gooseberry Falls. And is it running again? Anybody knows? Is it starting to flow again? I know it stopped flowing because of the drought. But anyway, it's one of the most beautiful places in the whole world. And it's right there on the postcard. And then got Lake Superior here, and the waves crashing up on the North Shore. And it's just beautiful. And have you seen the lake in the wintertime? I mean, it is just spectacular in the wintertime. And if you're from out of town, come on back in the wintertime, because it is completely different and unique and beautiful beyond what you can imagine. And so I was thinking about this. And I don't ever see a postcard of the North Shore with Big Joe's Salvage on it. right? You don't, right? I've never seen a postcard in the North Shore of the Tofty transfer station, recycling station. I never see it of Cooter's Garage. You just don't see those things. What are they going to do? They're going to put on a beautiful picture on a postcard. Now, those things are good. You know, you need to have those kinds of things. But what they're going to do, because this is kind of an advertisement. It represents the North Shore. It is an ambassador for the North Shore. And, you know, if you're a Christian, you are a postcard for Jesus. You are an ambassador of Jesus. You are Jesus' representative. What did Jesus say? Jesus in John 13, he says, you're to love everybody. And he says, by this, all men will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. Furthermore, in Matthew chapter 5, he says, your light must shine before people in such a way that they will see your good works and glorify the Father who is in heaven. Jesus says, it commands us to be good postcards. What happens if you're a good postcard? If you're a good postcard, people see that you're different. They're attracted to you. They find out, you know, what's different about you. They find out you're a Christian. They be attracted to Jesus. They consider his claims and his promises and the evidence, and they get themselves saved and become Christians. You know, it seems to me that we have three options. We're either a good postcard for Jesus, and I hope you're all good postcards for Jesus, or we're lousy postcards for Jesus. And there's a lot of that going around right now. And what happens, you know, you see it all the time. Lousy postcards for Jesus. And what do? They drive people away from Jesus. And our media loves this when they see this happening. They'll write all kinds of exposés on this. They want to show the Christians are hypocrites. And it drives people away from Jesus. And I guess there's a third option. You can be ashamed of Jesus and don't tell anybody you're a Christian. And I really wouldn't take that option. Jesus gives some very, very strong words about people who are ashamed of him. And you can look that up right at the end of chapter 8 in the Gospel of Mark. And you don't want to be ashamed of Jesus. What you want to do is you want to be a good postcard for Jesus. Could you imagine, just imagine for a minute, that everybody here, every one of you was patient with people. Every one of you was kind to people. Every one of you wasn't jealous. Every one of you prayed for each other. We could change the world. We could change the world. Right here from this little town of Tofty, we could change the world if we were able to do that. I didn't say it's easy, but we could. We could change the world. Well, I want to give you an assignment. Pastor Paul was here the last 2 weeks giving you assignments, so I'm going to give you an assignment. And I have a bunch of things that I'm going to suggest you do. I'm not going to tell you have to do it. There's too many of them. First thing, this week, look at if you're kind to people and patient with people, and if you're not jealous, and if you don't do those things, and you realize you're making a mistake, ask for God's forgiveness. Ask God to change your heart. Second thing I'd like you to do this next week is to find some act of kindness and do an act of kindness for somebody. Overtly. Maybe your kid, you know, or maybe a spouse, but do something purposefully kind. And then do it the next week and the next week. You'll get this whole idea of kindness into your heart. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to pray. I want you to pray for other Christians. You know, here's a good thing you could do. There's a bunch of Christians here today. You meet somebody, say, you know what I'm going to do for you today? I'm going to pray. You can meet them. I'll pray for you I'll pray for you every day this week. I'll just mention you in my prayers. And the other thing I'd like you to do is I would like you to find somebody that you don't like, or think about somebody you don't like. Pray for them every day this week. Pray for them every day this week. It's going to change you. I started doing this every once in a while when I actually was a pastor. I didn't like the guy. He was our pastor. I didn't like the guy. I started praying for him every day. And it changed my whole relationship with him. And pray. Well, I think we'll call it to a close there. Thank you very much. Amen.